Is anyone joining, or shall I start then? Okay, right. So today we are going to look into a very, um, the important technology, or kind of the tech world is moving around. Like, you already have been coding on many programming languages, but you might have heard of this word called Git, or maybe GitHub. So today we are going to deep dive into the what it is, Git. To submit. Like, in the first version, you might have done project final.html. Then once you've done some changes to it, and then you will change it to the project final v2. It goes like that. So have you ever done this? Anyone? Yeah. So it seems like, yeah. So most of you are reacting to this thing, and I can feel it, because when I was started uh, doing the programming, this is how I usually do, and I don't know how to manage it. So there will be around 50 versions, right? So I don't know where to save it, and it is local. I don't know whether it's will be safe, right? Whenever the hard disk shortage happens, or memory full. So that's how, like, most of you might have came across. So this is the place, and this is the time I'm going to introduce you all with the term called Git. So Git will allow you to maintain a clear project, and it will have the histories. Like, when you do some changes to a file, it will keep track of what has happened to that particular file, and it will also allow you to do the collaborations. Let's say I'm a developer, and my another three friends are also willing to contribute for a project. So if we are not going to use Git, what we will be doing is, first I will write a code, and then I will zip that folder and share it through a Google Drive, or maybe a pen drive. And then the second developer, who is one of my friend, he will take it, and then he will continue the development. So it something happens step by step. From me, the next step will be done by my next friend, and from him it will go to another friend. So there will be no parallelism. Like, let's say I'm working on one file, and he is working on some other file, but we are not aware of whether we are working on the same file at a time. In that case, when we are finished everything and then came into a place and get to each other, and we will have to check whether, hey, I have done this change, you have done this change, which one we have to do, right? We might not be aware of what we have actually done, because it may be 3 or 5 days. Let's say we all have that memory issues, right? We are not good at keeping everything in memory, what the changes we have done, what the error, or why I did it. Like, there's a meme, like before 6 months the code was written by me, it was known by myself and God. Now it's only known to God only. That means we actually not memorize the code, right? We actually write the logics, because programming is all about solving solving the problems, right? Particular problem, right? Through the logics. So we not care, we not aware of what we actually coded. We actually know the logic, right, based on the particular scenario. So in that way, we don't know actually what's the change we did. So having all these problems in mind, what's the developer community has came up with was called Git, right? So Git is a version control system. These are the few problems that I have discussed with you, like multiple file versions everywhere. We don't know which is the latest version to get into one file, right? And we may accidentally delete the code, right? And we can't work with the teammates, like we can't work in parallel, and we can attain the conclusion that which file we have to select. So we usually do emails, right? We will email the code, this is the new change happens. And there's a word called merge. Like, merge means what? Two different, two or maybe one file, there will be different versions. Let's say in one file I have written about myself, and in another file I have written about myself and my hobby. That means I don't know whether which one I have to take. So when we are merging it, whether we need to go with only myself, or maybe myself plus my hobby. So in that case, when we are merging it, we don't know which one to take actually, right? And we don't have the history of what's the real changes has happened in the file. So this is the essence of what we are going to look into. So it's a universal problem before this Git and GitHub things were introduced to the programming world, right? So until now, everybody clear with the things like what we have discussed, the real problem of maintaining a code, and why we need a centralized system to make the like log the histories of what's the actual changes, and to elaborate more on the collaboration with different teammates. So are you all clear with these things? Right. Any questions or something until now we discussed? You can put it in the chat as well. So it's up to you to, you can just stop and ask me questions. It's fully no problem, right? So there's a developer code, like a senior developer from Netflix. So you all know what Netflix is. It's a video streaming platform. Mostly we do watch movies, right? So there a developers mentions it. I can't imagine coding without Git. It's like having a time machine for your code. So with a time machine, what we all will do, you will go back to the past, right? Similarly, with the Git, you can go back to your previous versions of code, right? So that's a very very short and very crisp elaboration about what is Git. Right? Remember, I'm only mentioning about Git, not about GitHub yet. Right? There's a difference between Git and GitHub. Right? So now, before going into that, let's look at what is a version control system is. So version control system, the name itself is more precisely mentions what it actually is. Right? Versions mean what? We usually use softwares. Right? So in a mobile app, let's say there's a version of 1.02 version app was there. They will publish a new version, right? So we have to update it. Similarly, so the version means there will be a gradual updates, right? So we have to be aware of those versions. So when you go into the Play Store or Apple Store, when you go and check the application page, you can see what are the new features available in that particular version release. So there will be update button will be there, and you will just update the application, right? So they will gradually increase the version of the app. Similarly, in the coding also, in the programming, we code, and then we may go into some problems, or we may have to have some requirements, different requirements. So what we will do, we will come back to the code and do some changes. So if we do the changes, we are not aware of what's the previous one was, or maybe in future the customer or the requirement may change, like the older version is better. So in that case, we can't code the whole code again, right? Let's say it was coded 2 years ago, we can't code it back again, because it was already there 2 years before, and it was well tested, right, without any bugs. So if the requirements was to the previous version was better, then we have to go back. That means we have to revert back, right? So in those cases, we also maintain a version in our code, right? So for that things, we are going to look into the version control system. So you can think of it as a Google Docs. So have you all used to use the Google Docs in your day-to-day life? Right, yeah, you can see. So yeah, so Google Doc means a kind of a word processing tool similar to the Microsoft Office, which we are mostly commonly using in our day-to-day life. So Google Docs is a web version of a word processing tool, right? Web version. So in the Google Doc, you can see that you can track the changes, right? What's the changes was done. For each modification, you can see, okay, last week it was the sentence was something else, and today it was changed by whom, right? So in the Google Doc, you can see that there's an option to check what's the previous version was, right? Then you can even restore the changes. You can go in the Google Doc and check the previous versions, and you can just in one click you can go back to the previous version, right? And then you can collaborate easily. You can just share the link, and what one person can do the each segments and collaborate safely, right? This portion is for you, this portion is for you, this portion is for me, right? Let's write a research project or something, right? In the version control, there's another one which is called branch and merge. So as I already told you, merge is something which you are merging, right? There are two different pieces. Now what we are going to do, we are going to merge it. We are going to stick both right? In the coding file, in the program file, it may be different versions or different people have wrote it the same file in the same file. So now what you have to do is you have to take it into a same file. Both are same file, but the person who wrote are different. So what we have to do is we have to merge that file into a single one, which is the final version. So in that way, we have to do the merging, right? And there's another feature called branch. So in a tree, you have, there are branches, right? So similarly, when you take a big, let's say, healthcare application, in the healthcare application, there will be different features may exist, right? Based on the requirement. Let's say there's a doctor management, and there's a user management, and then pharmacy management, then staff management, right? And there will be different sub modules. We call it as a sub modules, which means each can uh, work standalone. That means doctor management is only to manage the doctors, and pharmacy is all about managing the things in the pharmacy, right? Items, and the other things it goes on, right? It depends on the requirements. It can go. So let's say there's a team of 5 teams, right? 5 teams. So each team working on each module. So the modules means that again, doctor management, those kind of managements together form a single application, that is a health management application, right? So each team are working on different module. So when they are working on in a team, there will be, let's say, 3 developers, right? So altogether there will be 15 developers working on that project, and each team will have 3 developers, and there's 5 modules we have to cover for the first version of the application. In that case, let's say, let's take one single team, and there will be 3 developers. So 3 developers will be working on doctor management, right? So when they are working on, they should have a proper plan of how to develop this module. That means to create a doctor management system, we have to have maintain the doctor's information. For that, we need to have a database. The database is a technology that is used to store the data, right? So from there we will get back what has been stored. So example, doctor's detail and what they are specialized in and what their time slot for the consultation, right? So one developer will be working on creating the database things, like structuring of how the data should be stored in the database, and one person will be working on, let's say, the backend development. So in the backend development, there will be a lot of logics. Let's say for a particular time slot, there shouldn't be any overlapping appointments, right? So those logics should be built by a one developer, and another developer, the third developer, will be working on the front end, right? In case maybe 2 developers will be working on the front end, there will be forms, there will be submission form, there will be list of showing the doctors list in that, right? So in that cases, when every developer working on that particular module, they will divide the requirements or the features. Okay, now I'm going to do the database things. So I will first do the database things, and while I am working on, the next one will be working on the backend development, right? And the another one will be working on the front end. So when we are working on it, we will be making a branch, right? We will making a separate branch. So there will be a one code and that code I will make a copy of it to my computer and will work on the development. Similarly, me myself, the next person will take a copy of that and work on another branch, right? So similarly, there will be all the teams will be working something like that. So there will be a centralized code, right? Let's say in Google Drive, there will be a one file, one folder. So each around 15 people will be there. So they all will get a copy of it and work on it and then update the centralized one. In the next time, when someone working on will get that centralized document and will work on it, right? So that's how this Git uh, model was created, right? So there will be centralized code base. Code base means the program, the code we are writing, and those who are working on it will take a copy of it and will work on it and then make the merge, so that each um, people who are taking that feature on will create a new branch, right? So first developer will create a one branch because he is working on a different feature. Second one will create another branch, right? Is this concept clear? Now we are slowly going deeper into the GitHub things. Right. So let's say, so there will be a app development, let's say front end development using HTML, CSS versions, right? A new recipe application. So in that application, um, you can see a lot of recipes on what's the item and how we can cook it, right? Needed ingredients, how to make it. So for that, the first version will be we'll be creating a HTML page for that, and in the next version we can do the styling for that, the CSS part, right? So those who are not aware about this HTML CSS, don't worry. Uh, just think of it in like in a Python or in a Java way that you have currently studied so far. And let's say you are building a um, student management application in a console, right, in the terminal. So that will also have some different versions, right? First, in the first way, you will create a particular feature. In the next version, you will create another version, right? Similarly, here you can see we are building a recipe application, right? So I don't want to go deeper into this. So just remember, keep in mind that you will have every day or every features you will get update the whole project, right? So you have to be careful on maintaining the versions because you are not sure about whether it might need in future, so we can't fully delete it. We have to maintain a version for each changes we are doing, and we have to have the history of it, why we changed or why it's changed and who changed it, right? So now we get into the step now, Git versus GitHub. So previously I mentioned, currently till now we have only talked about Git. So Git means it's a version control system, right? Similarly, there are many version control system like Git. You can see a lot of version control system, but we are going, the mostly famous out of those version control system is Git, and GitHub is an application of Git, right? Application of Git. So let's first see a more precise explanation about Git. Git is a tool. Just think of it as a software on your computer, right? And it's kind of a, it will work on your own local machine. So local machines mean it's your computer, right? And it's very fast. The purpose of it is to track the changes in your code, in your code, right? So you can think of it like Microsoft Word, that you are tracking the changes, right? Changes of a document. So Word is for tracking the changes of the document. In Git, it's for coding. It's for your coded source code, right? And now let's move into the application level, right? GitHub. So GitHub is a kind of a service, right? It's a service. So you can um, get that service through your browser, or it's a kind of a website which will provide you the Git, right? Git is a tool and GitHub is a service which uses the Git. Are you all clear with this? Git is a service, right? Sorry, GitHub is a service, right? And Git is the tool, right? So again, you can think of it like GitHub as a Google Drive, right? So in Google Drive, what you can do, you can collaborate and save the code, you know, a lot of things you can do. And the purpose of it is to host your Git projects. So when you are doing, when you are going to use the GitHub, your project should be a Git project. So we will go one by one on how we can create a Git project, right? The again, GitHub, since it's a website, a web service, you can access it from anywhere. So that means, let's say you are currently in Sri Lanka and you are developing a application, and you are committing, you mean you are having the records and all of your code will be in the GitHub. Now what happens? You just left your laptop in home and then you move abroad, or maybe to a foreign country or somewhere, and then you have bought a new laptop. You can just, what you can do, you just, if you have the GitHub account and the access to your GitHub, you can simply get it back into your new computer, right? You can access it from anywhere, since it's a service, the service that uses the Git, right? Cool. So again, let's take some analogy about Git and GitHub, right? So think of it, Git as a camera. Okay, it's the tool that helps you to take photos. And GitHub means it's social media like Instagram. You just share the photos with the world, right? So it's a huge difference between Git and GitHub. Huh? So similarly, GitHub, you can see other services. Let's say there's a service called GitLab. There's another one called Bitbucket. Right? Those are services which uses the Git, right? So why developers love GitHub? So it's a kind of a social media for developers, right? We all are mostly into the social medias like TikTok, Instagram, you know? But in the developers world, GitHub is the social media for you. So they will talk there and they will have a discussion about the code. They will have a lot of discussion, you know. There will be developments happening. So have you heard of open source projects? Anyone about the open source? Have you heard of it? No one? Anyone? If you heard of it, just make a thumbs up, or leave a text in the comment. I think no one heard of it. Is it? So open source means, okay. Open source means, so in the name itself, it's open, the code we are writing is called source code, right? The own code we have written is called source code. So that source code is being open, right? Whoever can use it, whoever can view, whoever can do alteration, right? They can change it. So in those kind of uh, code, we call it open source. Right? So open source is a big thing, but I'm just telling you that the code, the program code that is open are called, usually we call it as open source. So there are many operating system, right? Linux is one of the best example for the open source project. So you can use without any um, money, or you can use it by yourself. You can run it if you have that. Um, you know, if you can understand how to run it, you can run it. There are many documentation on how to run it, so you can run it. There are many open source applications as well, right? So when you see recently there's a AI tool called DeepSeek, that's an open source, right? So they have published whatever happens internally. So they have clearly mentioned that it's an open source. That means you can see the code, you can see how it works, you can see everything. In vice versa, you can see ChatGPT. ChatGPT, you don't know how it works, right? It is very closed. And similarly, in the operating system, you can see Windows. So Windows is not an open source operating system. It's a proprietary. That means you have to pay for it. Right? It's a copyrighted operating system. If you need to use it, you have to pay some money for that as a license, right? So you can see the source code on how it has been built, right? You can see the code of the Windows, right? So most of these kind of open source things are hosted on GitHub. So I can show you an example. Like let's say when you take Linux, right? So you can see, let's say Linux GitHub, right? So this is the source code. When you go here, you can see this is the code of the Linux kernel, right? Linux operating system. Like kernel is different, operating system is different, but I'm just saying this is an open source. You can see the code, how it has been written. And of course, you can see Python, the programming language you might have learned. Right? When you go here, you can see Python is also an open source. So you can see how this programming language was written, right? So all these kind of things are uh, you can browse on GitHub. See, github.com. It's the service which uses Git, right? Now let's go to the next setup, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to set up the developer environment for developing the Git projects. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create the code. We are going to push it to the GitHub. So first of all, what I would like you all to do is download the Git to your local computer. So how you can do that is go to your browser or somewhere, go to the google.com, and just you can do git install according to your one. So you can see git scm, the first one, right? When you go here, you can see different operating system. So you can download according to your operating system and run it, right? So I hope most of you might be using Windows, so I'll give some time for you if you all need. Right? So just go to this link, git-scm.com/downloads. So this is the page, right? So first download it and run, say do a setup. If you do it by parallelly, so you can get actually what's Git and GitHub means. Right? So I'll give 2 minutes, 3 minutes or something. Is that okay? Okay, shall I continue? Have you all run it and installed? If you can react with thumbs up, so I can move on. So I can know that you have done something and we can go further. Yes. Any issues? If you want to share your screen and you want to sort it out, you can do that. Yeah, always I recommend you to ask questions. So now what you can do is you can just open your, once you install it, now you can go and check whether it's installed correctly. So you can open your terminal, that means your command line. So in Windows you can go to the start button and write cmd, and then you will can see a command line here. So what you can do is you can type git minus minus version and check whether it has been installed correctly. You can see the version, git version is great. Yeah. What about the others? Great, 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 great. At least if I get around five people done, so I can move to the next. Hope it's okay for everyone, right? Yes. I think 3 people have completed. I want another 2 at least. Okay, if you have, shall I move next? Because the main thing is, if you run it with along with me, so if you encounter any issues, you can sort it out. Otherwise, you may get stopped in the middle. So hope there is no any raise hands, so I can move further. Right. So now what we have done is we have installed the Git into our computer, and the next thing is we are going to set up the GitHub account, right? So for GitHub account, go to github.com. Right? So if you are not logged in, you will see um, a page to sign up or login. So you can just go and click the sign up and fill the forms according to it. So how I can solve it? I'll just log out and show you how you can do that. It's a simple, straightforward thing. Don't It won't take that much time. Uh, so yeah, if I sign out, maybe okay, you can see this front page. So from here you can see if you already have account, you can go sign in. If this is the first time, you can go to sign up and you can fill this form, right? So you can fill it and click the create account. I think it will send you a confirmation email. So once you click on it and activate the account, then you can able to sign into the GitHub, right? So I'll directly sign in. So the username should be unique, right? It should be a unique one. I'll wait another 3 minutes to set up the account, right? github.com. So if you are a developer, these things are very, very important. Without this, you can't be a developer, right? And the next thing is VS Code, right? You have to, I assume you already have installed VS Code or any other IDE, right? So let me know if everything goes correct. Okay. Uh, Hope all good, right? Shall I move on? Okay, so now the next step is we are going to configure the uh, both GitHub account in our local computer, right? So there will be a sync between our local computer and GitHub. So as you all know, GitHub is a service which is in which will give you as a service from the through the website. Like when you browse the website, you can get that service done. So the projects are actually going to be done in your local computer. So when you do the development in the local computer, you will update the GitHub stored one with your local one, right? So that means we usually call the code in the GitHub as remote, right? Remote repository. Repository means a kind of a project, right? A kind of a storage place, right? That's what we call as a repository, storage place or store things. So remote means it's in somewhere else. We don't know actually where it is, right? But it's in the GitHub servers. So we call it as a remote repository, and the one we have in our computer as local repository. Local means it's with us. So now we are going to configure our GitHub account in our local. So for this, you have to run this command, right? Git config space dash dash global space user dot name with your name, right? So it can be your username or maybe your full name. That's fine. Right? Just go to your this sidebar and click the profile. You can go and visit your GitHub profile. So from here, you can see this is your username. Right? Keep your username as a professional way. It can be your name, or it can be something. Don't give it like uh, handsome hunk, beautiful, those kind of you know uh, catchy words, right? Keep it like with your own identity or a professional one. So you can give it that one, right, for the use and for the name, and then another command git config dash dash global user dot email with your email, right? So I can put the command here. You can just copy it and just change that user dot name within the quotation mark. You have to put your name, right? And the next command you have to give git config minus minus global user dot email your email, right? So all these things you have to run it in your terminal. So terminal means it's your command line. Just run it here, right? Git config dash dash global user dot name, and then here you can put, so I'll put my username, right? And then click the enter, and then the next one user dot email. So once you're done, just give a thumbs up so I can know that you have done. And, we can move to the next one. Shall we move? What about the others? Are you all in the same path? At least if you are learning, listening to it, just give a thumbs up. I just want to know whether you are all in the same boat. A few people like just want to know, are you all listening or maybe sleeping? Okay, let's go to the next thing, right? So there should be a workflow, right? So the workflow means there is a setup, like a set of steps we need to perform when we are going to uh, publish the project in the GitHub, right? So the working directory is the one that we are uh, currently working on. That means we have we are going to do a project. That means let's take an example as health management system. So that's the project that we are going to work on. So the folder that we are working on is called a working directory, right? So in that working directory, we will do the changes. That means we will update the code. So when we do that updates, what we have to do is first we need to commit it, right? So that means we have done the changes, or we are done with the changes of what the feature we has been allocated to us, and now what we are going to do is we are going to publish it to the GitHub from local. That means in our computer that project is has been done with that particular task. Now I'm going to publish it so that other developers can also take it and do the rest of the development, right? So for that, from the working directory, what we will be doing is we are going to commit it. That means it's called staging area, right? So we will do a command called git commit. So don't worry about that. Just think it is like a staging area, right? So that means when we are going to run a 100-meter race, we usually there will be a command, right? On your mark, on your mark, get, set, go, right? These are the commands. So for each commands, you will be like sitting on your knees. So when they say on your mark, you will just lift up your body, get, set. So for each command, you will have some movements, right? Your the knee will be get straightened, and then once you set go, you will have that momentum and start running. So you don't be in sitting and then start to go at one place. So there will be a particular commands, right? So when you are going to run a race. So similarly, before you commit the code, you have to have some go through some steps. So that's the one. First, you have done it in your working directory. Now we are going to commit. That means it will go to the next area called staging area. And then repository means it's going to get permanently saved. That means we have committed it. Now when we that particular change will get permanently saved. That means it's a kind of a final version of the particular task we done. Let's say we are adding a button for a navigation from one page to another page. So we done with that, and now what we will do is we will commit. So in that case, we will be in the staging area, and then the next step will be it's getting permanently committed. That means you can, whenever you revise back or trace back, you will see that change. So that's the place called repository. That means permanently everything will be saved. Right? And the next step is remote. That means GitHub. So we will do a push command, right? So there will be two commands we will usually do, git add, git commit. So we'll check one by one, right? So these are the main workflow. First we will be in the project, then we will commit it, and it will go to the staging area, and from there it will go permanently saved, and from there it will be go public to the world via GitHub, right? So that's the GitHub Git workflow, right? So now there are few commands. So before we are doing that things, what we did was we configured the GitHub account with our local computer. So that's why we put git config user name, user email. That means whenever we commit something, we can see the history. So when you go here, let's say you take a project, you go here and let's say you see this particular project, you can see this place. So it's showing that I have done some changes to this project by some message, right? Who done it? So I done it. So when you go here, there will be commits. This commit means that's the one I was telling you, that the repository, the in the GitHub workflow, Git workflow, you can see repository level. That means permanent changes. It has been committed permanently. So now what you can do is you can see that permanent changes. There were 3 permanent changes has been happened so far with some changes, with some messages. So when you go to this particular commit, you can see what are the files has been changed. So in this particular commit, there are 9 files has been changed, right? So with the plus, you can see it's green. That means the line was changed. You can see in the red color, that means the line has been deleted, right? So similarly, you can maintain the project with the history, or what's the actual things has been happened so far from the very beginning of the project, right? So for that, there are a few commands: git add dot, and that command git add dot command will make the first workflow. That means the staging area, files ready to be committed, right? Ready to save. That means we haven't yet saved it, we are going to save it. That means on your mark, kind of, right? So when we do the git add dot, that means we have done some changes in the code. Now we are going to make the change public via GitHub. So we are going to add those changes first. We're not going to save yet. We're going to add those changes to the staging, right? Staging area. For that, we are going to use git add dot command. Dot means everything. That means we have done some changes in the files. So we are going to stage all those changes, right? Git add dot. That will do the first step for us, staging area, right? Stage changes. The next one, git commit minus m, within the quotation mark you will give the name. So when you look at this code repository, so you can see the commits, there are messages. So these messages are self-explanatory. You can see this feat is a feature. That means I have worked on some feature called adding a React router, right? So what I have done in this particular commit, in particular this change, with 9 files of adding a React router related things. So don't have to worry about those things deeply now, but just think of it like in the message it has to be mentioned that why did you make the change or what you did, right? What's the change you did actually? So that is git commit minus n. So when you do the commit, it will get permanently saved. So it will get saved in the history. Okay, for this change, these files are changed. It will get permanently saved, right? So that will move into the repository level in the workflow. Next, git push. Git push means what it will do is it will push the whole changes to the GitHub, right? Everything. So you first make the staging and then commit permanently, then pushing into the GitHub, right? So it's like, let's say you are doing a document, you are working on some notepad document you are writing, and you are doing some working directory means your document is open and you are typing. That means it's a working directory workflow. That means the first one. And staging area means you are pressing the control plus S. That means that file will be is going to be saved, not saved, going to be saved, right? And the repository workflow step means the file will be saved in your hard drive. That means it's going to be permanently saved in your hard disk. Let's say you are saving it in desktop, right? That's the repository workflow. And in the next step, we are going to make a backup, or maybe we are going to share it with some friends. So what I will do is I'll just put it in the Google Drive and share the link. And similarly, you will put the project in the GitHub and you can just share the link, right? So similarly, I can share this link with you all. Okay, see this project, I have done something. You can also refer it, right? Is it clear so far? What we have covered is. So there won't be any much things after that. We'll just dive into the practical session now. Is the all clear so far? Right. Great. Thank you for listening so far. Let's go into the practical session, right? So we have seen git add command so far, git commit so far we have done, and the next command is git push. So this is the usual commands we will be doing mostly. And I already mentioned you that you can only publish the git projects in GitHub because GitHub is a service which uses the Git, right? The tool behind GitHub is Git. So the project Um, it was power cut here. Sorry about it. Okay, everybody can hear me, right? Okay, fine. Um, so we left first. Um, so we have to create a Git project, right? So then only we can host it in the GitHub. That means we can only save it in GitHub if our project is a Git project. So to do that, what we have to do is, for the first time when we are creating a Git project, we have to give a command called git init. Git init. It means an abbreviation of initialize. That means we are going to start. So when you put a git init, what will happen is your project, the normal project or the simple code you are having, will be changed as a Git project, right? So that's how you will do for the first time. In some other cases, there will be a already existing project in GitHub. In those cases, what you will do is you will just go here for a particular project and click on this code. Either you can select one of these. We will check this how it will work. So you can select on SSH and you can click on this and you can go back to the terminal, right? And you can put a command called git clone and put that copied one in the terminal and you can run it. That means you press enter. When you do that, what will happen is this particular project, this repository, will be copied in our local branch as well, right? So that means here you can see that project, right? Uh, right. So this is the one, right? So now what actually you will have is you will get that whole project in your local computer as a project, right? So I don't want to work on this one, so I'll first create a new one and we'll do from very scratch, right? There are few other commands as well. So checking the status, what's the different has been done, how we can do the incremental developments when we are collaborating with other team members, how we can do that. So those kind of things we'll discuss, right? So yeah, uh, before diving into the practical, so we'll check. So GitHub profile is kind of a resume for your developer work, right? It's a kind of a resume for your software development work. So why is it means is you need to have a professional username, because you need to be very professional in the LinkedIn, GitHub when you are doing some uh, projects work. Your GitHub profile will speak to your employers, right? And make sure you have a clear profile picture. You know, give it a bio description like I'm a web developer working on something, or I'm an AI engineer, right? So those things will reflect how what is your potential is to your employer, and you can give your locations as well, right? Um, yeah, let's first start our project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Visual Studio Code and go and click on the open folder, and just in the desktop I'm going to create demo app. Okay, and we'll create that folder and open it in the Visual Studio Code, right? Right. So can you all do it quickly? If you all done it, just let me know. We can move forward quickly. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a random uh, project, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some HTML changes. So right. So if you haven't learned HTML, it's fine. You can put whatever the programming language you have worked on. Maybe you can create a Python file, right? So it's up to you to create the project, right? So we are mainly focusing on GitHub. So we are just going to publish this project to the GitHub. That's it for our main intention of this current session. So I'll just create an index.html page, and this will be the content for that. I'll just quickly write the content of program of this. Right. Body tag, right, and then head tag. This is h1 tag. Hello friends. Right. It's just a simple HTML page, and I'll share it in the chat. And so when you open it, you can see it in the browser, right? You can just copy path and go to the browser, and when you open this, you can see the HTML structure, right? So now we are going to publish it to the GitHub. So to do the publish for the GitHub, you need to create a repository in your GitHub account first, right? So that's the main important thing, is you have to create a repository in GitHub before publishing it from your local, right? We have the code in local, right? A project called demo-app, and it has an HTML file. Now we are going to create a repository in the GitHub. So you have to switch back to the GitHub. When you go here, there's a plus addition sign is there. Just click on it, and you can see a drop down with new issues, new repository, import repository, and so on, right? So now what you can do is just click on this new repository. So when you click on it, it will show create a new repository, right? So when you click on this new repository, sorry, in here you can see your profile, right? And this is the repository name. So this repository name should be exactly same as the project name. Here the project name is demo-app, right? Be mindful, be careful on when you are creating a repository, the name should exactly match. It should not have any spaces. It should not have any case sensitive. Case sensitive means, let's say here you have demo-app, but in when you are creating the repository, you can't give it like this, right? It has to be same as how you created in your local computer. Yeah, that means in the project, right? So usually it's better to keep everything in lowercase, right? That means everything in a small letters. So demo app, and here you can give a description. Let's say demo HTML application, right? You can just give it a brief introduction about what it is. And here you can control the visibility. If you want to keep it, this particular project public, whether anyone can see this when they arrive your project profile, or you can keep it private. That means you can maintain it for yourself, only you can see that, right? So just you can keep this as public, and there's a readme file. So I'll if time permits, I'll tell this what it is, or we'll see, right? So just keep this empty for now, and just create a repository. That's it, right? So when you create it, there will be a page which will show you create a new repository on the command line, or push an existing repository from the command line. So now what we have to do is creating a new repository, because this is a new one, right? We are doing it a new project. So we need to follow this particular commands, right? Just let me know until this if you're done with it. Go to the GitHub, click the new repository, click the project. So it will be shown up with this page. Is that okay? I think someone has already done it. Okay, let's move to the next step. So now what we have to do is we are going to execute these commands in the terminal, that means in the command line. So first command we will be doing is we are going to make our project as a Git project, right? As I already mentioned, to make it, we have to execute the command git init, right? So here in this project, we are going to run this in the terminal. So Visual Studio Code itself has the terminal facility. So you can go to this terminal and click the terminal, new terminal. You will be shown up with the terminal. And here we are going to execute those commands. So the first command is git init. That means we are now creating this demo project as a Git project. So once you make this as a Git project, now we will get all the facilities of Git. That means tracking the records, keeping all the records, what the files has been changed, everything. Right? What the Git has in it will be given to this whole project as well. So we can, here onwards we can track the project, right? So once you've done it, if you press enter, it will show a message that initialized empty Git repository in this folder. So once you've done it, you can show in the source control, this sidebar, you can see a file has been changed. That means once you created this Git project or converted this as a Git project, the moment it created, it will get start to track the changes. So here you can see the green colors are in, the changes have been done. So this is the first time we are going to publish it. So everything will be shown as green, right? It's obviously. The next command is staging area command. So that means we have to run git add, right? So git add. So obviously in the here also you can see git add readme. So we are not going to look into the readme file for now. We are going to execute the git add dot command, right? This add dot means it will add the whole files which are changed. That means here you can see previously it's in the changes field with the green color, and once you execute this git add dot means everything, right? Here in the changes state we have only changed the one file, that is index.html. Once you git add dot, it will get moved from changes to staged changes. That means in the workflow we saw, when we execute git add, the workflow will be changed to staging, right? So it's now in the staging. Now the next step is we are going to put it to the where? Repository. That means permanent change, right? So for that we will do the git commit. So let's check the GitHub here. Right? Git commit -m with the commit message, right? Commit message. So now what we are going to do is git commit -m, and we'll give the message why we are doing this change. So it's just a change, right? So we are going to give like adding index page. That's it, right? Within the quotation mark. Now we committed that one as well. Here comes another command called git status. Now what we are going to do is we are going to check the status. What's the current status of these changes? So far, nothing to commit because we just committed it, right? If we didn't run this git commit -m with the message and run the git status, it will show there's a file change has been there. I will show it in a short time, so uh, don't confuse with it. So once we executed the git commit command, the next command is git branch -m. So this git branch -m means, as I already mentioned, in the git there are, you can make a copy of the branches, right? You can, when you are going to work on some feature, you can make branches. So if you are going to make some branches, this is the command you have to run: git branch -m and then the branch name, right? So the very first, when you are publishing, mostly main branch will be your default one, right? So even you don't have to run this command because you are already in the main branch, right? So I'm not going to run this because it's showing as main, so I don't have to run this. But if some of you might have been shown up with master, right? So that's something default, I think, previously, right? So GitHub has made some changes to the default branch name. So currently the main is the default branch when you make a git init, right? Some of you might be shown up with master. So those of you should run the git branch -m main, right? So I think that's it. And the next command is this one, git remote add origin. So this particular command you will run only once when you are committing for the first time. That means you are connecting the local project and the one in the GitHub. That's why there's a command called remote. You're giving the original GitHub URL as well. So here you can see git at github.com then colon mark the username slash the project name. So this will be only run for the first time when you are publishing the repository, right? So now when you run it, you can see you have now connected both the remote repository and the local repository, because both the file names are same, folder names are same, demo app, right? So that's why it's important to keep both repository names as same, right? Now the next step, we are going to publish it. This is a very crucial. This is the final step. Now git push minus u origin main, right? So this will push our changes to the main branch. That means origin means the one in the GitHub, and it will create a main branch and it will push it to that branch, right? So let's run this command. So when you're committing for the first time, you maybe get some authorization from GitHub. So you can do that via Visual Studio Code, because nowadays it has been very easy for most of the time. If you might be asked with for the authorization. So for the first time only, right? So once you authorize it, uh, there onwards you won't have any issues. So if you are running for the first time, yes, there will be authorization you will have, right? Okay, so now we have done it. So let's refresh this. Here we go. You can see the file has been in this place, and you can see the message that we have given when we were running the git commit minus m adding index image was here. And so far we have done only one commit, because we have done git commit only one time and pushed it to the GitHub, right? So now this GitHub code and the local one both are in sync. That means we both are in the updated level, right? So is that clear, everyone? Do you want time to do this? If you need, make a thumbs up, or if you don't need time, make a something else, some other emojis. It's fine. If you want time to do this, give a thumbs up. If no, give some other emojis so I can understand that. Okay. Okay, right. So some of you, it's right. Hope you all got some idea about this. So I'll go further, right? So now what we have done is you have just created our first Git repository, right? So the next step is, of course, you have to secure your GitHub account as well, right? So make sure you have enough security for your GitHub account. And yeah, these are the following commands you have to do. So that's the one. And yeah, you can share your GitHub repository with the world. So this is the URL. So you can share it something like, hey, I have done this first commit in my GitHub, right? It's an achievement because you are in the very first stage and the very beginning stage of the developments, right? Programming. As a developer, you have to have a lot of contribution to the software world. So you can share your achievements in your social media. And right, so now first we have made the changes, right? Now we are going to do some change in the code. Let's take some change. Let's say hello friends. Now I'm going to change the content. How are you? Right. So there's a change has been happened, which is not in the GitHub. So now what we have to do? We have to make sure that both local, the one here, and the GitHub remote one are in sync. So now what we have to do? We have to execute the commands. So in this place, we have to only execute mainly three commands, right? Staging area, and then commit, and then publishing it. So these are the only three commands we have to run when we do a change further. And if you are a single developer of this repository only, you will do this, right? If there are multiple collaborators, you have to run another command and then you have to do this. So For now, I'm assuming you are going to do it as a single developer, and I'm going to explain you how you can further make this um, repositories sync together, right? Updated. That means now we are going to push these changes because we have added another content, right? How are you? So you can see in the source control, there's a changes has been happened. So this is the essence of Git, right? It will track the changes of the files. So when you go here and execute the git status command, you can see what are the files has been changed. So index.html is modified. Now let's create a new file, right? Index.css, and I'll write something else. Now save it. And when you come here in the command line and run the git status, you can see index.html as modified, and this one is untracked. That means we just created this index.css. That means it's not yet added for the tracking purpose of the git. That's why it's a untracked files. It's not getting tracked. So whatever you are doing here, it won't consider its versions. So now what we have to do is when we have to execute the git add command, right? Simply you can run git add and the file name. So it's always better you run the dot. That means whatever the changes happen will go to the next workflow, that is stage. So I'll run git add dot. Dot means everything. So if you done this one, and now when you run the git status, now you can see it's in a green. Okay, wait. Now both are is in tracking state. So now you can track the histories of these both file. Right? That's why you can see index.css is a new file which is not in the GitHub, and this index.html has been modified, right? So now we have added into the staging area. Now what we are going to do is commit it. Git commit -m, and now I am going to give a message like adding CSS file. I did some changes, so I'm changing it. So in this phase, what will happen is there are two file changes. So with age, you can see in the history, these things are done by this particular developer. These files are changed. Right? So here you can see this how are you was added, and this whole index.css has been added. Right? So this is the commit part. That means we have permanently saved it. Now what's the next step? We have to push it or publish it to the GitHub. So now it's a simple command, git push. If you do this, so it will show you total four things has been happened, and it's pushed to the main branch, right? Now when you come here and refresh it, here we go. You can see the latest updated one, index.css, right? With the same contents, right? Similarly, you can do this whenever you have updated it. Push it, push it, push it. That's it, right? And so these are the things, right? Make sure you always run git status in between when you are doing some changes, because that will help you to track which commands we have been executed so far, right? See what are the changes have been done. So this command you can go through it and you can run it. And yeah, for the commits, the messages you are giving should be very clear, and it should be clear commit, right? And don't give it like messages like okay, first commit, this is nice. Those kind of commits is useless, because when you track back the history, you can't get actually what the change is all about, what has been done, right? What the hell has this developer done? So always keep your code as a story. So when someone go through the code, he should be able to visualize the logics that has been written. Right? That's the beauty of writing code and maintaining the GitHub history as well. Right? So these are the main GitHub's powerful features. So I'm not going to cover these things. Uh, this as you are a very beginners. Uh, okay. Right. So and another one, what I'm going to give you all is going to create a new branch and work on a particular one. Let's say now we are in the main branch, right? And our both local and remote are in sync. Now what we are going to do is we are not going to always commit directly to the main branch because that's not the good practice, right? So when you take a image explanation, you can see this is how we should work on Git. So this one you can see it's a master, but it should be main because recently GitHub changed the default branch name to main branch. So that's why we are seeing the main branch here, right? This is the branch name. So just keep yourself as a main branch. So what you will do is you should have the main branch untouched, right? Whatever things you should not push the changes to the main branch, right? You have to do something like you have to have a copy of main branch as a develop branch, right? So this is the one will have all the changes we are doing, right? So from the develop branch, what you will do is you will create a feature branch. That means you are going to create a button, you are going to create a separate page for something else. So those are features. So what you will do is there will be a main branch, there will be another branch called develop. That will be a copy of develop branch, right? Copy of main branch. And now we are going to work on a feature branch. That means we are going to work on some adding button or something. So that's called feature. So what we will do is we will create a feature branch, a copy of develop branch, and we will work on that. And when we are doing it, some others will also work on that. So they will also make a copy of this develop branch and work on it. And they will also push directly to this develop branch. So that will get updated when someone make changes, right? So after we done our changes, we will push our changes to that updated develop branch. So from here I have completed my work. This was a previous version of develop branch. So I worked on this and now I will push it. Now another developer will work on it and he will update the develop branch. Once that whole thing has been done, now what we will do is we will merge it with the main branch. So this will have the working application. This will have the stable one. That means there won't be any issues so far, right? That's how this IT industry are working there. They will have um, branches and they will work on it and they will gradually commit feature by feature. And once that particular things are sorted or that particular feature has been covered, they will make it public to their customers or the users who are using their application. So now what we will do is we'll just create a branch and push it, right? So from the main branch, what I'll do is when you click here, you can see create new branch. So here also you can create a new branch or you can simply do git branch minus m, right? Minus m, and then you will give the feature branch name. feature add button. So this is my branch name. Slash means this is a feature, and then slash what's that feature is about. Right. So now when you click the enter, you can see the branch has been changed, right? So now we are in the feature branch for adding the button. Now what we'll do is we'll just go here and make the changes. And let's say our feature is adding the button, no? So we'll just give it a adding the button. So once we done this code change, you can see the change over here. Now what we have to do? We have to make it add, commit, then push, right? That's it. Now what we'll do is git add, git commit -m with the name, right? Button implementation, button feature or something. We done the commit as well. Now what we have to do is we have to push it to the GitHub. So in GitHub also there should be a feature branch has to be created. It's not yet created, right? Here you can see this is main branch. Now this code is in main branch. When you click it in the view all branch, you can see all the branches. So here you can see there is no any branch called feature branch. So what you have to do is when you are pushing the new branch, you have to create it in the remote, that means GitHub, and push it. So when you execute this git push, it won't actually let you to push. What you have to do is you have to push origin to that particular branch. So this is that command. So these are some sort of for this particular branch, it will be creating a new branch in the GitHub and push it right in the origin. And now when we execute this, it has been pushed to the GitHub. Now when you refresh this, you can see a new branch, feature branch. Right? Now when you come back to the front page, this is the main branch, and once you click, this is the feature branch. Now when we go HTML page and see the content, we can only see the main branch content. Now when we switch back to the feature branch, that add button, we can see the updated, right? Now what we have to do is we have to update the main branch because we have done this as a feature. Now we have to update the main one so that others can also get work on it. Is it clear? Okay. So now what we have to do is there is a feature in Git means pull request. So pull request means we are creating a request to merge two branches. So right now we have main branch and feature branch. So we have to create a pull request to merge these two branches. So the base will be main and the comparing branch should be this one, the feature branch. So when we click these two, it will automatically detect and show you what are the changed lines between the two branches, right? So if that's okay, like there's no any issues so far. So if there is an issue, it will show there is a conflict, right? When you are working on multiple team members, it will definitely show you, right? So in that case, you have to resolve it one by one, right? So I don't want to cover that on in this session because we can't do that much level of coding so far. So we'll just keep the branch and then we'll push it to the main branch, right? We just keep it like that. So now we are going to create a pull request, and only one file changed because only that button thing was done. So here we can add the title and the description about this merge, why we are merging it, what are the changes that is differ in the feature branch with the main branch, right? So we can do add those things, and we can put the reviewer. That means if we are a team of developers, then we can ask the other developer to peer review, right? Hey, I have done this development, so you have to approve it, right? So once they approve it, we can merge the two branches. So this is the single one, so I don't want to give it anything. I'll just put as it is, and assignee, whoever doing this development should be assigned. So I have done it, so I just assign it myself. I'm the one did the changes. Now I'll create a pull request. So once you've done this, you will see that pull request with how many commits have been done and what are the files changed between the main branch and the feature branch. Now another developer who was assigned as a reviewer, right? So he will come and he will check it looks good. So there's no any issues. So he will do the review changes and he will approve it. So far I can't do it because I have done some setting on it. Like I can't approve because I have done the development. Right. So I'll just review, make it a review change, and here the developer will approve with some comment, right? If this is okay, he will put a comment here and he will approve the pull request. Now if everything is okay and here someone has reviewed your code, now you can come here and merge this pull request. This merging is the place you are going to update the main branch with the changes we did in the feature branch. So now we'll confirm this merge, and it has been merged. Let's see. So now feature branch and main branch both are up to date, right? Both are up to date. Now when you come back to the code section, you can see the button feature, which is from the feature branch commit, has been in the main branch. Now when you go to the commits section, you can see the history. So there was a merge happen from the feature branch. So that commit also you can see here. So this is the current state of the repository or the project in the remote. That means in the GitHub. But now we are in the feature branch in local. So what we have to do is we have to move to the main branch in local, because think of this Git as a kind of a copy of local and the remote. In GitHub there will be the branches, many branches, like 2 branches are there. So in local also we have, but in local we will have whatever the branches belongs to us, right? In remote there will be multiple branches, it may be committed by some other developers, right? So now we have the copy of remote GitHub repositories in our local as well. So now what we will do is we will just move to the main branch, right? In the GitHub we have updated this code. We are in currently in the feature branch. So now what we will do is we will check out to the main branch in our local code. So for that we will run git checkout main branch, right? Checkout means we are going to move from this feature branch to the main branch. So once you've done it, you can see you are now in the main branch. Let's look at the code. this is not yet updated, right? In the remote, you can see it has been updated with the button code here. But in the local one we are having, it's not updated. Is it clear? We are now in the main branch, in the local, in our computer. But the GitHub one was updated. Now we need to update our local main branch as well with the latest one. Is it clear? Okay, so for that, what we will do is there are two commands, right? So there is a little bit difference between those, but I'll just uh, keep you explore it. But you can use two commands. So one is git pull, or you can use git fetch, right? So I'll use git pull. Right? So I don't want to elaborate more on that. Just I'll execute this command git pull. So now look at this place, huh? Sorry, git pull, pull, right? Here you can see the updated code now. So the current, our local one, the code in our computer with the main branch is updated with the remote one, GitHub one's main branch, right? Now, what we have to do, if we are getting another feature to work, we will create a new branch from it by git branch -m with the feature branch name, and we'll work on it and push it and create a PR and merge it. So that's how we'll work on the branching of Git. Right. I don't want to host anything. So there are few other commands as well. I'll just leave it for you to check on it. Yeah, the golden rule is always execute git status when you are doing the git related works, right? Obviously, yeah. Write a clear message, commit often, because you have to get update yourself, right? With the code. So you commit often, and always pull before push. That means we we took the latest change, right? With the git pull, we took the latest change, and then we created a feature branch and worked on it, and we'll push it, right? So always pull the latest one before you start working on a particular feature, right? So these are the few commands you will usually use it with the Git. Right. So far in 2 hours we have completed with the introduction to the Git and GitHub, and learn few commands and created a repository, right? The best way to learn Git is to use it every day. So when you get used to it, you will memorize. It will get used to it, like car driving, right? You don't need to be careful when you are riding car after 1 year or maybe 6 months, right? It's a kind of a muscle memory, so it will automatically drive. So that's how this Git also. You don't have to memorize these commands. Once you code and push it to the GitHub often or frequently, you will just get used to it. So now you have the tools and knowledge. So it's now your turn to uh, try it yourself and keep committing and keep growing, right? Right. That's the wrap up of this session. Any questions? Yeah, sure. If there's no questions, yeah, thank you for joining and listening. I hope it was a fruitful session. We'll meet again in the next sessions. Bye.